He was like, whoa, we're just hooking up, chill, bruh. And she's like, don't call me bruh. And she drags him into the afterlife and she's like, you'll regret it. And I was like, dear God, this was a mistake. Keep going, queen, give us more. Very Wonder Bread vibes. That's a lot of people. Do you understand how many people that is? A lot. Hello and welcome or welcome back to my channel if you are new here. Welcome to the book club. We have a lot of fun here, all 7 of us. Hey, we've increased from last time, super exciting, I know. We are starting our February wrap up. I can't believe we're already done with our second month, or my second month at least here on YouTube. But yeah, we finished our second month of 2026 already. We're gonna go over all of the books that I read in February, talk about my ratings, how I felt about them. We are going to get into some of our books. So overall, in February, we had an okay-ish reading month. I wouldn't say we had a great month out of reading. January, we read 10, which was fine. And this month we read 8. My goal was 9, but that's okay. In terms of rating wise, February was really great because 5 out of the 8 that I read were all 4.5 stars and above. So my goal of finding books that are higher quality more often is starting to happen, which I'm super excited about. So that is something to get excited about. I feel like, I don't know. It's kind of fun to know that I'm kind of finding my niche, but it's always good to branch out. So I'm definitely going to keep branching out into more unexpected and new genres because I have a feeling like 2026 is going to be a really great year for that. For trying new things. So we're gonna get into what I read in February and we're gonna get into our first book. Okay, so most of these books I don't have here with me, but they'll be over here. The first book that I read in February was Slapshot by Chelsea Curto. Slapshot is the 3rd book in the DC Stars series, started with Face Off and then went into Power Play. And Slapshot covers Hudson Hayes and his journey with our female main character, Madeline Galloway. And Madeline Galloway is a single mom to Lucy, who's wonderful. Her personality is absolutely hilarious. She happens to be deaf as well. And it follows Hudson and Madeline as Hudson is looking for a private chef and he can't find one. Madeline is a professional, very, very, very fantastic chef, Michelin star kind of restaurant level chef quality. And she hadn't ever done private chef careerism. That's not a term, but she had never been a private chef before, but she figured she'd give it a try. And she definitely wanted to move on from previous experiences. And she was just kind of spurned by love in the past due to her relationship and more prominently the end of her relationship with Lucy's dad, who I don't even remember his name. He's not all that important as a person to the story. And they Madeline and Lucy end up moving in with Hudson. And she's kind of like a live-in chef, and naturally that progresses from there and the story continues. So what did I think about this book? I gave Slapshot a 3-star. It was neutral, which 3-star is not a bad rating. I want everyone to know it's not a bad rating. And I feel like a lot of people take 3-star as not really a great book. I consider 4 and 5 stars books that I would reread. Books that I thought, wow, this was actually good and worthy enough that I would want to go online. I would want to write a full review. I very thoroughly enjoyed it. And 3 stars, yeah, I liked it. Were there some things that maybe fell a little flat for me? Yes. So it does have its flaws, but I still liked it. Overall, this was a pretty run-of-the-mill casual 3-star for me. And one of my main points that I wanted to make note is that I loved the deaf representation in this book because personally, I haven't read a lot like it, and I thought it was really cool to do it from a child's perspective as well. But I thought they represented the deaf community in a really positive and informative way too, and one of the biggest takeaways that I got from this book, which was SimCom. And SimCom, or simultaneous communication, is used by hearing signers to be able to include deaf people into the conversation, particularly when the conversation or the group at hand includes both hearing folk and the deaf community. So that is kind of the biggest takeaway I got from this, was that they really introduced it and they kept including it in each conversation, because Hudson wanted to make Lucy feel included and represented. He was really embracing this change in his life and in his home and trying to make her feel welcome, which I thought was really sweet, tugged on my heartstrings, very, very sweet. So I thought that was really great. Romance-wise, was it all that crazy? No, but I do want to note that I don't dislike Hudson or Madeline in any way, but I do think that Hudson and Madeline were it was just the epitome of a wholesome romance between two saintly level nice people. Now, am I nearly as, I don't know. I don't know how to describe the character or the personality with these two, because one of their main points is that both Madeline and Hudson are extremely considerate, extremely caring, extremely kind, extremely polite. And both of them, I swear, if they were going to walk through the same doorway, they would be there for hours, because they'd be like, oh no, excuse me, no, excuse me, no, excuse me, no, after you, oh no, please, I insist, for fucking hours. They're like saintly level nice. I think that I got a little bit bored because Hudson didn't grow at all. I mean, he went through this journey with losing his mom in the past year, so he was definitely he was retreating from society a little bit. He didn't go out all that much. So he did grow socially, I guess, but we didn't really see him retreating. We didn't really see that in past books all that much. So did he feel like he grew all that much in our minds? No, because he was already basically written to be perfect. So did I feel like it was two people making each other better? No, they didn't make each other worse though. They were just two already perfect people who were very kind and have their passions, and they're very polite when they talk to each other, and they laugh and they make each other laugh, and they enjoy each other's company, and that's good. That's great. Did it make for super entertaining reading? Not really. But that's that. Very Wonder Bread vibes. It was good. I liked it. I didn't dislike it. Did I think that it needed to be that long? Probably not. But it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. I thought it was fine. It was good. It was good, but it wasn't anything to write home to mom about, you know? And I feel like that is enough that we can move on to our second book that I read in February. So the second book I read in February was Fairytale, or rather listened to. I listened to Fairytale this month, and it's written by Victoria Lancet. And just to get it out of the way, I rated this one 3.5 stars, and we can get into that later, because Fairytale has a huge fan base, and I want to make sure I explain why I liked it and also didn't like it at the same time. So Fairytale is very interesting because it's a very confusing concept to talk about and to introduce, because the whole entire plot is all over the place and you're so confused for the majority of the book. And then it kind of makes sense, but even when you know that you're supposed to understand, you don't really understand the full scope of it. So Fairytale, an overview? Let's see. Okay, so if I was to give like a quick synopsis, I'd say that Fairytale is a dark, gothic, historical romance. Did that cover all of it? Dark historical fantasy romance. I went into this thinking that Fairytale was this fantasy fairy tale land with a bunch of crazy magical creatures, and it's a super cool town, and everybody's magical. That's not what it is. It's literally a town called Fairydale, Massachusetts. It's in Mass. Fairydale, Mass. And to be honest, I could have somewhere in the 770, nearly 800 pages of this book, it's very possible that they explain the naming of this town, but from my understanding, understanding, they didn't even give a reason why it's called fairy tale. It just was. And that really bugs me. But our main female character is Darcy O'Sullivan, and she is an orphaned woman, previously was a school teacher. This is based in 1950s. There's three, I want this to be known now, there's three timelines that are going on. Mostly it's only dual timeline, but then they include a third. It gets complicated. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's got a lot going on. And they warn you about that actually in the beginning of the book. Multiple flashbacks and also multiple love interests. Now, is this a typical love triangle? No. Darcy runs into this guy named Caleb and also has this flashback dual timeline situation with this guy named Eamon. And it gets really freaky and really odd. People call this book spicy. I didn't find it all that spicy, to be honest. Like, it wasn't crazy, but some people might think so. So I want to say that there is spice. This book hooks you quick and it keeps you engaged and it's super fast paced. A lot of crazy stuff happens and she basically gets drawn to this town because she finds out that she has a dad and that her dad is dead and that she's set to inherit something. And she comes for the reading of the will and for the funeral. Crazy stuff happens at the funeral, and since there and after that moment, everything just keeps getting weirder. Weird things start happening. Weird things start happening with the sky, with the people in the town, with the dead folk in the town, and lots of odd things. And you're just sitting there being like, I have absolutely no clue what's going on or how this is going to go down. You get taken and basically dragged through this plot where you have no idea what's going on. And then finally, it starts to make sense once you get all these flashbacks and the dual timeline to this woman who's not Darcy in 18 whatever, very Bridgerton vibes. It's half 1950 and half Bridgerton. And then at the very end, they randomly throw in this Rapunzel retelling in the third timeline. And that bothered me just a bit. I found it odd, personally. I found it a little odd that we didn't come up with any kind of new or original concept. She literally was contained in this area and was told that it was too dangerous to go outside, and then meets this strange guy, and from there things advance, and there's a very mother gothly kind of mother figure, and all of this happens in the last, like, let's say 20% or something like that. It doesn't end that way, but it gets very, very close to the ending, and we're in this new woman's perspective. And overall, yes. Is it engaging? Yes. Does it keep you on your toes? Yes. Is it mysterious? Very much so. So if that is all you need for a good, enjoyable book for you, then I would recommend it. For me, I found it frustrating in a way that not like more frustrating than I find thrillers to be. The way that it was keeping you on your toes was a very similar kind of suspense level to what you feel like with thrillers, and this one was just no. It was just no, and I didn't enjoy the last 50% of it probably. So yeah, it was a 3.5 star. Should it probably be lower now that I'm talking about it? Probably, but I did enjoy the overarching theme, which I can't tell you because I don't want to spoil it. But it's this big picture, zoomed out love story. And I thought that element was really cool, the way that everything connects. But also, it wasn't enough. It wasn't. I'm sorry. It wasn't enough for me. Am I glad that I finally read Fairy Tale and listened to the hype and got it over with? Yes, I am very glad that I did that. So it feels like if you were underwater and you were hanging onto a rope that was being dragged by a boat, and at first it's super twisty and turning and you're like, ooh, this is fun. And then you start getting hit in the face with this aggressive current and you're twisting and you're turning, and I just didn't care enough. I let go. I was like, I'll tumble into the back. Like Finding Nemo, I didn't, it lost me. So no. But it could be many other people's cup of tea, and I get the hype. Was the writing bad? No. Writing was great. The setting was super gloomy, super gothic. Probably should have been a 2.5. But that's Fairy Tale. And we're going to move on. Woo! The third book that we read in February was Anywhere by Sarah Sprins. I saw someone on Book Talk talking about this, and she just felt so passionate about this book that I had to try it. She thoroughly convinced me. I really wish I remembered who you were. I really wish I had saved the video, but alas, I have since gone back through my history and I cannot find it anywhere. But if you are out there and you are the one who is gunning to support Sarah Sprins and Anywhere, the first book in this series, congratulations, you sold me. And it was really good. I loved it. I rated Anywhere 4.5 stars, I believe, maybe even 4.75. I loved this book. And was I worried that it was a little bit too Boys of Tommy with the found family? Yes, a little bit. I was worried because that's what I had heard it compared to. And if you're looking for something to replace or to fill the void that Boys of Tommy has left in your soul, I wouldn't go looking here if you're wanting a super deep replacement, because the cast of characters and the cast of friends here is not as big. It's a smaller circle. The characters are obviously completely different, feel completely different, but the vibes are similar. I want it to be noted. So we are in a Scottish boarding school. These kids are in high school. I still found it relatable despite very much not being in high school anymore. Oh, also to be noted, I turned 25 in February, so now I'm 25. Woohoo! Super fun. So yeah, it was also my birthday month. And our main character is Emma, and Emma came to Scotland and joined this boarding school, Dunbridge Academy, and she came to Dunbridge Academy specifically to find her father, who she knows lives in Scotland. Her dad is this band member or former member of this popular-ish band. She meets this guy named Henry in the airport before she even gets to Dunbridge, and they end up making the flight together. They were both late. They both are booking it to try and make this flight. They end up making it. And then since then, from there, they kind of have this love at first sight feeling. And they're constantly wanting to be near each other. Henry introduces her to his friends, gives a tour of the campus and things. And then Emma finds out that he's taken and that he's dating someone. And she's super nice, super well-meaning. And then things progress from there. So she gets to Dunbridge, she meets this group of friends, she starts getting used to it, very day in the life, super idyllic, this very, not gothic, it's not dark academia, it's more light academia, I would think. And it's not even really academia vibes, because I picture college campuses, but this you could imagine or pretend as if these kids might be a little bit older. I certainly probably aged them up in my mind, maybe a year or two. This book overall was really, really, really good. And it kept me hooked, and it was a pretty easy, enjoyable read. This was originally translated from German, I believe. Sarah Sprins is not natively English speaking, nor is this book originally written in English. It was translated over by someone else, I believe, and they credit him. No, it's not a him. So sorry, it's a woman. I'm so sorry for calling you a dude. It was translated by a woman named Rachel Ward, but Sarah Sprins is the one who originally wrote it. And this series has been slowly released over time. I believe we have 2 so far. Anywhere and Any. Emma and Henry are super wholesome. They're very Johnny and Shannon vibes. You're taking away 1 or 2 onion layers of depth off of it. They definitely still connect. And there's definitely some deep themes that they go through, which is why I loved this so much. But it wasn't that 5-star feeling that Boys of Tommy gives you, but it's still good. And it still ingrains you and brings you into this world. It makes you want to go for number 2. So I will be continuing this series. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So that was Anywhere by Sarah Sprins. In February, I read Project Hail Mary, finally. I know. That was one of my big ones that I wanted to get accomplished this year. I didn't put it in my 26 for 2026 because by the time that I made that list, I had already kind of started Project Hail Mary. So I didn't feel right including it because it kind of felt like a give. But I read Project Hail Mary, and if you're thinking, oh my God, wait, you physically read the book? And for those that have read or listened to Project Hail Mary, you might be thinking, wow, listening to it is so much better. I can't believe she missed out on that opportunity. I didn't. I listened to it. Ha! Really got you there, didn't I? Project Hail Mary was fantastic, and it was everything that everybody said it would be, and I'm so glad I listened to it, because if you have heard anything about Project Hail Mary, odds are it is that you heard that you need to listen to it. Regardless of anything about the plot, all you probably heard was you need to listen to the audiobook and do not even bother reading it. Just listen to the audiobook. And if you are sick of hearing that, I am so sorry to disappoint you, because I'm going to double down and add on to that and tell you that you do need to listen to it. You might as well not even bother reading it. But if you want the immersive experience and you have time to just sit there and read the book while you're listening to it, great, but you need to have the audio as a part of it. And I can't tell you why, but Ray Porter is a genius. I want to say thank you to Ray Porter for narrating this book beautifully. But we do need to give credit to the brains of this operation. The man who wrote it is Andy Weir, and boy, the brain that you have in you. I want to make sure that it is known that the kind of genius level and higher level creativity and thinking that has to go into making a project like this come to fruition and have it flow well and have it be a successful book is incredibly hard to do. And the topics and all of the different scientific and physics and chemistry and biology terms and math equations and things that they talk about in here. This can be read by someone who doesn't understand any of that. And that is coming from someone who didn't understand any of it. But also at the same time, Andy Weir wrote this keeping this in mind, that a lot of people probably do not have the background that Rylan Grace has, our main character. This was my first sci-fi book that I have read probably since high school, since a required reading. So this was kind of life-changing that I read a sci-fi book, had no romance whatsoever, and I loved it. I loved it, I loved it, I loved it. It was almost a 5-star. I don't know why it wasn't a 5-star. It basically was, but it just didn't give me that, oh my God, I'm obsessed with it, I want to read it again right now kind of feeling. But it was probably possibly the ending, but we can get into that. And all of the topics covered they're not inaccessible. And some people said, oh, well, I was just too stupid to understand most of the terms that were going on in this book. No. If you skim over it, yeah, you will be a little bit confused. But personally, having it in and being read to me and having it come through audio-wise was a lot easier to understand personally. It made it absorb so much better. Ray Porter's intonation was great, the way that he wasn't super monotone with the sentences. He understood the sentence and he added personality into the character, which is not common in audiobooks. It's not. There is character and there's personality that you add in your own brain when you read books, but through audiobooks, you have to rely on that narrator, and Ray Porter did a great job with making sure that Rylan Grace's sassy, kind of sarcastic personality comes through perfectly. By the way, Rylan Grace being a teacher, this was a great month. I read so many books this month that by accident, most of the main characters happened to be teachers. In Fairytale, she was a teacher. In Project Hail Mary, he's a teacher. In a Jam, she's a teacher. Crazy. I didn't do that on purpose, I swear. I think the reason I didn't give it 5 stars is because of the ending, but also I don't think it would have been satisfying if the ending had gone the other way. So I think it was really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and Project Hail Mary was the 4th book on our list. We are ready to do our 5th book that I read this month. And in February, I finally got around to reading Sunrise on the Reaping. Now, there is about to be a Sunrise on the Reaping reading vlog coming for this book, so I don't want to spend too much time reviewing it, but I want to give a base level. So Sunrise on the Reaping, it is a follow-up to the entire Hunger Games series written by Suzanne Collins. Starts with Hunger Games, then we go into Catching Fire, then Mockingjay, and then we go back and we add a prequel book called Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and it talks about President Snow and his relationship with the games and with this character, Lucy Gray Baird, who's a covey. Then we are finally given Sunrise on the Reaping, and we get to experience the Hunger Games and thrust back into the games at the 50th Hunger Games, the second quarter quell. And this is from Haymitch's perspective. Haymitch Abernathy, he is our mentor, Katniss's mentor. We know Haymitch, we love Haymitch. Lord knows we love Haymitch after reading this book. Oh my God. The pain that this man goes through. Oh my God, absolutely horrible. I can't put into words how much pain this man went through. Sunrise on the Reaping follows Haymitch's journey all the way from his birthday, which happens to be the day of the reaping. Really shit luck there. And then on his birthday, he got reaped. Then he went into the games, and then everybody except him died. That's not a spoiler, because the nature of the Hunger Games is that nobody makes it out except him. And on top of that, the Hunger Games double the tributes. 4 people per district, 12 districts. That's a lot of people. Do you understand how many people that is? A lot. 48 to be specific. Too many people. Too many children to die, in my opinion. But yeah, that's the end of that. I rated this 4.5 stars. Was this book publishing and necessary wise? Was this book necessary? Maybe not, but was it fun? Yeah, I really enjoyed getting to go back into the Hunger Games. Was the ending brutal and horrific and heart-wrenching? Yes. Did I enjoy that part? No. But was it entertaining? Yeah. Did I finish it in like a day and a half? Yeah. Was it super necessary, and do people sometimes theorize that this might have been a cash grab? Possibly. Do I fault Suzanne Collins for it? No. Keep going, Queen. Give us more. And that is my review of Sunrise on the Reaping. Next, we read Killjoy by Holly Jackson. Now, let me tell you about this fantastic novella. It is set directly before the events of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Sal Singh is included. Everybody knows about it. Everybody knows about Andy Bell. The most important thing is that Pip does not care about detective work at all yet. At all. And really, this is her origin story. Killjoy is her origin story for how she became so interested in detective work and solving cases and following clues and all that kind of good jazz. Because Killjoy, the entire premise is that it is her going to the birthday party of one of her friends, and it is a murder mystery party set in the 1920s. How cool is that? How cool is that? I personally found the concept of a low stakes, probably no one's gonna get murdered in actuality in real life. None of Pippa's friends are gonna get murdered. Nobody's going to get hurt. All good, clean fun, but some kind of character is going to get murdered. So we're trying to solve the murder of Reginald Remy. How could I forget a name like that? We're trying to solve the murder of Reginald Remy. Reginald died, knife to the chest, right through the heart. Classic. They find him in a chair and things progress from there. Now, Pip goes through and gets so invested in this to the point where her friends are like laughing and having so much fun watching her because she is getting so invested. And at the ending is just fantastic. And I love that they did this because it was so unpredictable the way that they had the ending pan out. Because obviously Pip is the one to reveal who did it and the whodunit and the entire explanation of he did this because this and this and this and this and this. And remember that clue? Pulling that clue from the very beginning back into the fray. I just love this. It was fast paced. It was fun. It was delectable. I ate it up. I normally don't review novellas, but if I did, I would rate this like 4.75 stars. That's how much I loved it. I flew through this, was hooked the entire time, and it was funny. So if you have read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, please read this. And that's kind of it. I loved Killjoy, and we are going to head into our 6th book that we read. Now, oh, just kidding. This was the 6th. Guys, we only have 2 left. Okay. Our second to last book we read in February was In a Jam by Kate Canterbury. In a Jam actually snuck up on me so much. And I personally loved it. It was great. And it starts out a little slow And it's a little predictable, but it's perfect in so many specific ways. So this follows this female main character. Our FMC's name is Shay, and she is left at the altar hours before her wedding. What kind of asshole would do this? An ex that they barely mention and barely name in the future. Does he come up in reference for how shitty and awful he was? Yeah, he comes up actually a good amount. Do we really learn his name until the last 80%? No, we don't really know his name. Turns out his name is Xavier, and Xavier sucks majorly. So that doesn't end up coming back around, and there's no lost feelings there. But she is left at the altar, and then she comes back to her hometown. It's based in Rhode Island, in a town. Ironically, the town's called Friendship, Rhode Island. It's slightly better than Roundabout or whatever, Knock 'em Out. It's better than Knock 'em Out in the Things We Never Got Over series, but like just barely. I'm sure there's a place called Friendship somewhere. I think there's a Friendship, Maine, to be honest with you. So maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree there. Anyway, but hey, I didn't name Friendship. And she meets this guy, Noah, who she really isn't meeting for the first time, because she finds out after a couple conversations with the man, that she already knows him, and that he is her childhood or high school best friend, Noah. And once she realizes it's Noah, she's like, wow, okay, Noah got hot? When did he get hot? How did I not know this? And so then everything starts up from there. She comes back because her grandma Lolly, who took her in. I don't know how to describe the situation that Shay was in when she was a kid, but she was basically kicked out of a bunch of European boarding schools or something. She basically has this rich girl background, and she lived in Boston, and she was very gung-ho about this wedding, and then the engagement got broken off. She was brokenhearted for a couple days, and then she got this notice that she was getting this house in Friendship, Rhode Island, and that she needs to come back and claim it. And there's a lot of stipulations, and basically in the will it says that she has to get married within a year. And then that's how Shay and Noah get into this situation, and it moves on from there. I want it to be noted that there's this character named Jenny, and Jenny is Noah's niece. It's his sister's kid. And his sister gets into this trouble, and basically, conveniently for the plot, she is in jail for life. It's a rough situation, and Jenny's basically this easily highly distracted, highly very hyperactive, very ADHD vibes. I think literally, actually. I think she literally has ADHD. But there's a lot of good therapist representation of bringing your child to therapy if that's necessary. So In a Jam impresses you over time, and the more witty that their banter becomes, and the more cutesy they get, and the deeper they allow themselves to go, the more impressed you are by the depth of this story and how many layers it has, how many layers the characters have. Shay is a really complicated human to understand, and I had a blast understanding all of her messed up mental pathways and all of these crazy ways that we as women explain away things. And she grapples with her past relationship, how awful he was, grappling with her childhood and her experiences in childhood, and her relationship with her mother, her relationship with Noah, trying to decide whether she actually likes him or whether it's all for show. Kind of a fake dating situation there for a little bit, for most of it. And it was great. The emotional part of what Jenny brings to the table is amazing. And one of the best things that I took away, which is very personal to me specifically, is that there's a lot of representation of the teaching profession. And I'm a teacher. I teach third grade. And getting to see teaching presented in such a positive and realistic light made me a lot more emotional than I thought it would be. When I was reviewing this, I was almost choked up as I was typing out my review, because I found it to be extremely moving the way that they explain Shay so specifically. Shay has this amazing group of friends. They all happen to be teachers, all different crazy personalities, and I'm sure they get books in the future. I hope. I do want to continue this series, but they represent her and how passionate she is for teaching in such an amazing way. And it's such a complicated job, and so much goes into it, and they explain it really nicely without going too in depth and without taking away from the romance. So I thought this was great. I rated it 4.5 stars, I believe. No, I rated it 4.75. This was the closest we got to a 5-star this month, was In a Jam. So overall, I loved it. And that's our second to last book. And our final book we read in February was a novella that didn't live up to the hype as much as Killjoy did. We read Fearful by Lauren Roberts. Oof. Everybody collectively lets out a big oof all at the same time. If you've not read the Powerless trilogy, please skip now. Fearful by Lauren Roberts. It covers the relationship between Mara and Kit, and mainly Kit's experience as he's experiencing the end of his life. At the end of the last book of the Powerless trilogy, Kit dies. And Mara, this character Mara, she is Death. And it's Kit and Death flirting, basically. But we barely get any kind of flirting between the two. It's like we couldn't decide what this book was going to be about. It's like Lauren Roberts knew that she wanted to make a novella but didn't know what it was going to be about. So she decided to make Kit insane, but give him a reason to do so because he drank the poison, or whatever they call it, the disease, something. He drinks this disease practically on purpose because he wants to be able to solve and cure himself. And he has this crazy ass plan. And he's essentially the villain for the third book. And it ends up panning out that he's the one that did it all along. Gasp, everybody's shocked. This was a waste of my time. It was a waste of my time. The only thing that I found that I got out of this book was that I was pleasantly surprised and satisfied to watch the relationship between Lenny and Blair. I liked Lenny and Blair. I thought that their pairing was really sweet, and I thought that melting Blair's heart a little bit and understanding the layers behind the bitch was really cool. And I say bitch literally because she calls herself a bitch, basically the entire novella. And Lenny is just so sweet and down to earth, and they make a great pairing. And the way that Mara watches them at the end and how they reach their happy ending, which I won't explain, but they do have some kind of happy ending. Kit does not have a happy ending, and that was super confusing for me, and neither does Mara. And all of the flirting that they do and the hopes that you're like, ah, well, Kit'll get a really wholesome ending, and he'll fall in love with Death, and they'll rule Death and the Death world together, and how wholesome it is. There's no payoff. There's no romantic payoff. He doesn't even end up with her. It's ridiculous, I know. So, yeah. I could have lived without Kit's perspective. I don't need it, nor do I feel bad for him, nor do I care. I could have done without Kit. Bye, Kit. See you later. Have fun in the afterlife. The way that they're talking about, Peyton and Kai's kid, Death has some kind of weird fetish with Peyton and Kai's kid. And it freaks me out a little bit. And it makes me think that Lauren has something up her sleeve, and makes me think that the kid, Peyton and Kai's kid, is going to be the center of attention for the next book that she writes, and that Death is going to be the villain, and that she has big plans for her, which means that Kit is going to be in the story too, because Kit is condemned to the afterlife because he basically rejected Mara. He was like, whoa, we're just hooking up, chill, bruh. And she's like, don't call me bruh. And she drags him into the afterlife, and she's like, you'll regret it. And I was like, dear God, this was a mistake. So, yeah, that was basically it. Sorry to end on such a rough note, but that was February. Did I get to the 10 that I was hoping to get to in February? No. Did I get to the required amount that I wanted to get to, which was 9? No. I made it to 8, but one thing, I may not have gotten to the 9 books that I wanted to get to in February, but I got one away, and I think that this teaches and it taught me a really good lesson of the fact that I enjoyed 5 out of the 8 books that I read, and I rated them all 4.5 stars and above. That's really rare for me, so I think that this was a good reading month. Did it produce a lot of books in a row? Not as much as others, but that's okay, and you're going to have some months like this that pan out this way. So I wanted to cover February. Yay, I'm 25 also, super exciting. Do I feel different? No, but I can now rent a car, and my frontal lobe is fully developed now, so that's fun. Yay me. Everybody says jazz hands, woo! 25, 29, 29, 25. If anyone gets that reference, please tell me. That was my February wrap up. I really hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing and joining our book club. We have a lot of fun here. There's now 7 of us. Yay, all 7 of us are having a really great time. If you would like to join, we talk about a lot of things here. We talk about fantasy, we talk about romance. We branch out and we try new genres occasionally. There will be more where this came from later. If you would like to follow me on anything else, my book talk is almost exactly as it is here, Caitlin Reads, but it has an extra N after the 2 N's that are in my name. I just drag it out 1 more N. On Fable, I am Katie with a tulip and then the pink like blossom, cherry blossom flower. I am also on Goodreads as Katie Morrissey, and I will link all those, or I will try to link all those down below. If you liked this video, please like it. Please hit the like button. Smash that! Yes, it does help me out if you did enjoy it. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Bye!